So Andy Reid revealed Chiefs' thoughts on the NFL draft in an article we're going to talk about today. Let's go. Chiefs Kingdom ACU crew, how we doing, ladies and gentlemen? I'll try that again. We're going to talk about Andy Reid revealing the Chiefs' thoughts on the NFL draft coming into April here, man, real soon. So about a month outside of it. We're excited for it. I know you're excited for it. Andy Reid recently did an article talking about his thoughts on the whole process and what they're thinking about doing. And we're going to talk about all that much more. Before we get started, do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. Mike, how we doing today, brother?
I'm good. This article Andy released the other day is just wild. It was a whole bunch of Andy, like it was a masterclass of Andy Reid. Talking but not saying anything.
Right, that's what he does.
Like this dude has mastered this to the point where it's like it almost starts to get old a little bit. Like I understand you can't really reveal everything you do, but at the same time, just those same generated like responses all the time is wild. So I'm ready to jump into the article.
But
and talk
I think that's what you have to do though. You don't want to reveal your hand, but at the same time, I think if you kind of dig into this a little bit, you can maybe, depending on how long you've been a Chiefs fan, how long you've been keeping up with Andy Reid and how, what he talks about and Brett Veach and this and that, you can pull some stuff from it. But let's talk about the article. It was written by Bob Kaunak. Can't even say this dude's name, from around the NFL. It says Chiefs head coach Andy Reid has had a lot of time to think about retooling after a down season. We'll follow the article a little bit, but then we'll stop each time we want to talk a little bit because it's a long article. But Kansas City Chiefs are now several months into the post-mortem of the 2025 season, a campaign in which they missed playoffs for the first time in 11 years. Regardless of the subsequent highs and lows of free agency, though, the main factor in their quest for return to contention is the health of Patrick Mahomes, who's targeting a Week 1 return, and on Wednesday posted a video of a throwing session roughly 3 months after having surgery to repair his ACL and LCL. Speaking to the NFL senior national columnist Judy Battista on Saturday from the annual league meeting in Phoenix, head coach Andy Reid acknowledged Mahomes' progress. However, he refrained from committing to an exact recovery timeline for the two-time MVP. Here's what Andy had to say about it. He said he's doing great. He spends a ton of time in the building. He's in there for 7 hours a day. It's showing the progress. Now, to tell you a timeline, I mean, I know what he's striving for. We'll just see where it goes from there. Mike, let's stop right here and talk about that for a second.
Yeah, Andy said a bunch of nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a bunch of stuff we already know, basically.
Yeah, so Andy's saying we're not going to say he's coming back Week 1, but that's what we're planning on happening here. I think that's what Patrick Mahomes has had in mind since day one. And we all saw the video. I mean, I think there was actually, I wish I would have brought the tweet in, but I think his name's Jesse Morse, maybe the doctor, does a lot of the sports medicine stuff. He posted the video of Mahomes throwing, and he was like, he's going to be ready Week 1. Like, there's no way he's not going to be. So what do you think about it, Mike?
Right. The video that the Chiefs put out the other day, I mean, it's fine. He's just throwing. We all knew this was going to happen. I tried to tell people all off season that Tom Brady did this when he was injured. Joe Burrow just a few years ago when he had that ACL, MCL, all that crap. He was doing the same stuff. Mahomes had the surgery faster than they did. Mahomes had the surgery, I think, before the new year, correct? So January, February, March, we're 3 months into this. Of course, he's already got through the roughest part. In that video, he's throwing. He's not really favoring a lot on his left knee, which is fine. That's the knee that was injured. It was expected. It was expected. It's good to see, but I think almost all quarterbacks would be at this stage in their recovery. It's just the advances of modern medicine. I do think that Mahomes will be ready, though, and I've had the timeline that he is going to be cleared for football activity maybe by July, as early as July, early August, in my opinion, and I'm sticking with it.
Well, I mean, if you know anything about Patrick Mahomes and you've ever followed his career, you know he's built different. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. He goes on to say, should Mahomes ultimately need more time, Kansas City traded a 2027 sixth-round pick to shore up its contingency plan, bringing in Justin Fields from the New York Jets. Fields struggled with gangrene in 2025, going 2-7 and finishing 4 different contests with fewer than 55 passing yards on the 2024 Pittsburgh Steelers, a club that was more equipped to uplift a quarterback, such as the Chiefs are. Fields went 4-2 as a starter despite experiencing similar stretches of ineffectiveness. Whatever the Chiefs saw in Fields over the past couple of seasons, it was enough to make him their backup plan. And here's what Andy Reid had to say about it. Well, we stuck out and got a quarterback to back him up. Reid said when he asked if the team's offseason planning has been for Mahomes to be ready week 1. So if he doesn't, if he's not able to make it for the beginning of the season, then we know we've got a legitimate backup there that can go win games for us. So Mike, Andy sounds pretty confident in Justin Fields. So whatever they think about Justin Fields, they think he can get out there and win games if Mahomes is not back.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Fields was a good backup to go get. There was nobody on the free agency market, in my opinion. I think the Cardinals overpaid for Gardner Minshew. And even when Minshew played, yes, it was only a few snaps, basically. But he didn't look like he had like this complete command of the offense. Like there wasn't anything special on those plays. Again, the offense was kind of weak. It was at the end of the season. So I think it was a decent thing. Our offensive line's built that if Justin Fields needs to get outside the pocket, he can do that. Fields has been getting rid of the ball better, making less mistakes. I mean, working with Reid in this offense over the offseason, I don't think it's a bad thing for Fields in his career. I don't think it's a bad thing for the Chiefs either. I stick by that too. I think that's a good move. What? Why? I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Is anybody else hearing Steve? Here, I'll just talk. I don't know what Steve's doing. I thought you were you were being heard. I just couldn't hear you. I'll continue with the article a little bit while Steve's figuring this out. It says, no matter who is under center, Andy Reid goes on to say, the job should be made easier by the Chiefs' marquee free agent signing, Kenneth Walker. Reid didn't say that. The article said it, obviously. But it says Kansas City struggled to find traction on the ground last season and finished 25th in rushing yards. Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, ran for 1,027 yards in his final year as a Seahawk, barely less than Kareem Hunt and Pacheco combined for 1,073. He has the potential to become the next great running back under Reid, who until recently had earned a reputation as a backfield kingmaker, coaching talents such as Brian Westbrook and Jamal Charles. Andy actually said this. He's a good football player, and it won't change. He's going to change. He's not going to change coming to us, is what Andy Reid says. He's still going to be a good football player. As long as he stays healthy and moves forward, good things can happen for you. We know that the run game's important, and we've got good offensive linemen in front of him, so that would be a plus for him. It should be a plus for our football team. Andy, again, just comes out, says a lot of nothing. I mean, who thinks that Kenneth Walker was going to change coming to the Chiefs? I guess a lot of fans were scared that it's possible Andy would come on and he would say, look, we're not going to give you what? Andy's good to give somebody 13 to 15 carries. That's about what Kenneth Walker had. He split carries with Zach Charbonnet a lot. So it was only up until the playoffs that he become a big-time bell cow for them. But I think he can handle that. Andy Reid's just not a coach that's going to sit there and give a player 20, 25 carries per game. We've begged for this. You actually seen it in a must-win game for the Chiefs last year versus the Colts. He did that with Kareem Hunt, and the offense looked – I don't want to say the offense looked great, but they looked a lot better that week than they had previous weeks. It also opened up the pass game there late when Mahomes hit Rashee Rice for a few big plays, big chunk plays there at the end of the game. So I think that, the whole Kenneth Walker thing is fine. I like the signing. We've rehashed this and hashed it over and over and over and over again. I do think it's a good signing. It's one of those things where I don't think he's going to change his play style. My only concern is if you're paying this guy a lot, and the Chiefs tend to have this problem with free agency. When we go out and pay big time for a free agent, they tend to stay injured constantly. This goes all the way back. Good night. As far as I can remember, this goes back to like Pioli days and even Marty Schottenheimer and Carl Peterson days, it seems. Every time we overpay a free agent or go out and get a big-time free agent, they just continue to just sit there and not do nothing but draw a paycheck. So It is what it is, but I'm going to get through a few comments here while Steve figures out what's going on. I have no idea what's up with his audio. He tends to do this a lot. Shane with 5 Bomb says, going to a birthday dinner with Mom and Rachel. I'll miss the live. Don't have too much fun without me. Shane, I hope it's a good birthday dinner. Whose birthday is it? Mom or Rachel? Either one could be yours. Maybe it's yours. Maybe you're going to steal the show today. But I appreciate that 5, brother. Y'all have a good time. Tell everybody we said happy birthday. Don't know which one, but somebody gets a happy birthday. I appreciate that. Yeah, Steve is working on them ASL skills, and he's learning to be a good listener. I'm excited that Steve's doing that one. Yeah, he was giving everybody the silent treatment, I'm pretty sure. That's just the way it is. Let me see. Manuel says, Mike, buy me a dinner. Yeah, well, you got to be in the same vicinity as me, I guess. Wait, is it Shane's birthday? Is that Brian? Is that what he's saying? Shane's birthday. Happy birthday, Shane. Appreciate you, brother. I'm not going to continue with the article until Steve gets back because he really wanted to talk to you guys about this. He was excited to talk about it today, and then his microphone said, nay, not going to happen. So I'm going to wait for him to get back. We're not going to jump ahead. We'll just sit here and have a conversation. Until Steve gets back, let's talk a little bit about, let's shift gears a little bit from the Andy Reid article to a little bit of some draft talk. It seems to me that a lot of people this week started to get bored of good football players. I've seen a lot of people get bored of good football players. I've seen an uprising against mock drafts and everybody not wanting players such as Ruben Bain or whoever. And again, I understand Ruben Bain may not be there at number 9. I don't think he will. I think if you want him or Bailey, you're going to have to move up. But if, and in the mock draft, they've said that they're supposed to be there, then by all means, that's a great pick at number 9. That's just the way it is. You got to love it. So that's just how it is. Hopefully Steve's back with his audio.
Yeah, I think so.
He's back. The audio's here. Steve, I didn't continue with the article. We stopped at the Kenneth Walker thing. Wanted you to talk about it. We were just talking to the chat a little bit. I think it's Shane's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Shane. Did you eat Qdoba last night? I need to know that because I ended up eating Qdoba. Anyway, I have no idea what you're talking about. So what were we talking about with Kenneth Walker?
What Andy Reid said. He said that Kenneth Walker, they were not going to change anything. He said he's a good football player. It won't change. He's not going to change coming to us. He's still going to be a good football player as long as he stays healthy and moves forward. Good things can happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's just obvious. That's just part of it. Like all I've took from the article so far really is just that they want to retool things, right? They need to rebuild somewhat and get back to where they were because last season was a freaking joke. 6-11 sucked. That team was better than that. The coaching staff was better than that. Everything was just wrong. So, I mean, it's all about retooling. But let's get back to the meat of the article that we wanted to talk about the most. And you'll have to bring it back up because I don't know where you stopped. So,
yeah, we're right here. We're on the part. This is the interesting part, I think, for a lot of people. He says, outside of bringing in Walker and Fields, plus the return of tight end Travis Kelce, the Chiefs haven't had a massive influx of big-name talent this offseason. In the secondary particularly, there's been somewhat of an exodus. They traded Trent McDuffie to the Rams, and Jalen Watson signed with the Rams in free agency. The 68-year-old Reid, thanks for throwing in how old he is. I guess he seems senile
Old
here,
man
so he wanted
Reid.
to say that. Who has been coaching in the NFL for half his life, another subtle shot at Andy's oldness. Having first started on the Green Bay Packers in 92, a third shot showing just how old Andy Reid is. Thank you, article man. Is more than comfortable with rebuilding the secondary as he has before. And he goes on to say this. Reid says this. I've been in positions as a head coach where we have to replenish the secondary. At Green Bay, we replenish the secondary. I've been through that, and it's been productive. Do you want to lose a Trent McDuffie? No, but that's today's football. That's how this thing works today. So you've got to stay flexible, and then you've got to put yourself in a position where you can replenish that. We drafted a good kid in Noah Williams last year, so I know we'll continue to work through that this year. I'm really not worried about it. I look forward to seeing who those people are that come in. Steve,
Right.
Does it sound like Andy Reid and Brett Veach still have some work to do in the corner room, or does he seem content in a way?
Well, when we finish the article, you'll see why I wanted to talk about this part because I think this is very telling on maybe how they're going to be approaching this draft. Because if you hear what he has to say in a minute, you start looking at Andy literally talking about how he's excited to see who they bring in, right? We have to replenish the cornerback room. And now that McDuffie and Jalen Watson's gone, I think literally Andy might as well have said, hey, we're going to draft a bunch of corners or secondary. And I don't mean that they're going to go out and draft 5 of them, but you never really know. Was it back in 2021 when they took 4 corners?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that this is the only thing that really kind of tips that the cards over a little bit, lets you see for a split second what they might be doing in this draft, is the fact that Andy is flat out saying, hey, dude, we have to replenish the entire secondary here. And they haven't really done it through free agency. They did go get Alohi Gilman and Kader Kohu, but I mean, they have a lot more work to do. So I'm thinking right now, corner is definitely going to be a focal point in the draft. And now the fun part is kind of navigate that. Like, is it going to be early in the draft? Is it going to be mid to late where they normally are successful with corners? So it's just something to think about.
Yeah, I think what stood out to me was he's talking about replenishing the room. I fully understand that. But he says you've got to stay flexible and then put yourself in a position where you can replenish that. So he didn't say we're going to. He just said you got to put yourself in position. So I don't know if that necessarily means, hey, we're taking one at number 9 or 29. It just sounds like to me that they want to do just enough that they can continue to take best player available, and when the time comes, they strike. He also mentioned Noah Williams, who we picked up in the 3rd round last year. I thought done a really good job. We've also got Christian Fulton back this year, unless they do plan to release him after a June 1st kind of thing or something. I just don't see them doing that right now. So I would be very surprised depending on, but we'll go to the last little bit here. It says, regardless of any needs the Chiefs might have to fill, Reid projects calmness. He's not worried about corners. He just said he's not worried about corners, so that's wild.
He's not worried about it because they're going to bring more people in. That is what he's saying. All right.
Okay, cool. He told Battista he won't force an addition at edge rusher. Wild. I think you should force any edge rusher you can possibly get, even if they're a homeless person on the side of the street in Kansas City with a good get off on a 10-yard sprint. And the Kansas City is in a better position than most teams at wide receiver. I think a lot of fans would disagree with that one. Wide receiver seems to be a cluster F, if I may say so myself. In roughly a month's time, exactly what position the Chiefs decide to bolster will become clear during the draft. So long a heavyweight, the Chiefs are in rare position to pick 9th. They also have the number 29 picks thanks to the McDuffie trade. The 2026 Chiefs, already coming off a season so alien to the Mahomes era, are set to look different, but in a painful aftermath of 6-11, Reid has become certain Kansas City will come back stronger. Reid says, we've had a lot of time to think about it. This has been a long offseason. Absolutely. It's been an offseason since Thanksgiving. But it's great to reflect, great to go back in and turn what in your mind is a negative, having the end of the season that way, the way it did, into a positive by retooling, making sure that you're getting healthy coaches and players. So stay on top of that and then go to the advantage of it as you work into this next season. So he's not drafting. He doesn't think it's pressing to have an edge. He don't think it's pressing to have a wide receiver. He may or may take a corner. Andy just basically didn't say anything. Like, that is the worst.
I think ever. Andy said some things without saying some things. I mean, you could talk about like what Andy had to say all you want, but when you really look at it, I think what he's saying is they're not going to force an edge rusher. I don't think so you could take that a couple different ways. It's either a smoke screen because they're going up to get Reuben Bain, or he legitimately don't think that's necessary. So they're going to sit at 9. They're not going to force an edge rusher. They're not going to make sure they take one at 9 if there's a better player available. That kind of thing. I think with the corners, I think it's fairly obvious what he's saying. He's not worried about the position because they can replenish through the draft. They have plenty of draft capital now, a lot of picks. And he's said, in the past, even at other teams, that he's had a lot of success in retooling the cornerback room via the draft. And so he said he was excited to see who they bring in. That, to me, shows that they're going to be drafting for secondary 100%. So whether that's 1 or 3 guys, I think they're going to be drafted for secondary. I think the thing that kind of surprised me the most was the wide receiver one, saying that they're better than most teams are at wide receiver, because that's just downright bullshit. And everybody knows that. So that one to me comes off as a smokescreen. Like, it almost like if I piece all of this together, Mike, it makes me think they might take a receiver higher than people are expecting them to.
I can't get anything out of it. Honestly, when I read every bit of that, it just sounds like to me he just, in so many words or in a lot of words, just said, we're going to take best player available at every position. Like, they're not going to press on a wide receiver. They're not going to press on a corner. They're not going to press on a edge rusher. So what are you saying? Best player available. I mean, that's basically what they're saying, right? Or did the one person he leave out, Caleb Downs, like he didn't say they didn't need safeties. So maybe they're going to take him, or I just don't know. I think Andy just did a good job of not really giving away anything, which cool. But yeah, I just heard best player available across the board.
I don't know. I think there's something there. I think you can kind of dig into it a little bit because Andy's playing Andy. He's just trying to say stuff without saying it.
But he also contradicted what Beach said.
That's where you have to dig in, though, right? When you have to try to like figure out, find the little Easter eggs they're throwing down because that's what they do.
Did he not contradict what Veach said though earlier when Veach basically said, "Hey, I'm not going after edge rushers," and he hasn't. And he said edge rusher has to be taken basically in the top 40 because they fall off a cliff. But now Andy's saying we're not going to press to get one. Does that just mean they're not going to trade up to get one?
It just means they're not going to force it. So if it's not there, they're not going to take it. That's
a trade up, right? Wouldn't that be a forced?
Well, no. Just like if you're sitting at number 9 and you have a couple of,
hopefully this gets rid of Keldrick Falk.
Exactly. You're not going to be reaching on a corner. That's basically what he said, or not a corner, but an edge rusher, because they're not going to force it. So that could mean that you might end up with, a second round guy or a third round guy. Like either way, I think they're going to address edge rush. I think all the positions that he mentioned are what they're going to address in this draft. I think they're going to address edge rusher, wide receiver, and corner, and that's the main things they're going to do. Now, I think back to what Reid said, they're not going to force any of that, right? So I'm better at wide receiver than most teams are, which we know is not completely true. Them saying, making it sound like the edge rusher is not a huge deal. We know that's not necessarily true either. They need to get an edge rusher. But I think what Andy did here was soften the blow of drafting a Kenyon Sadiq at number 9.
That's possible. I mean, he didn't really say if you take best player available, that would put him in the wheelhouse if nobody's available.
Or for that matter, Caleb Downs. Like, I think what Andy was doing was softening the blow a little bit. Like, hey, if one of these guys are here at number 9, we're going to take them. It doesn't matter if they're an edge rusher or wide receiver. Like, we don't have to have that right off the rip. I think that's what Andy was trying. I think that's what he was putting down.
Necessarily that bad? Like that's what
it's not good.
A lot of people think it's horrible, but Rashee Rice, a lot of Chiefs fans in general were saying Rashee Rice was a great wide receiver when he's healthy. He's top tier. He was outperforming certain people when he come back last year for a few weeks or the year before or whatever it was. He was outperforming people. When we got him back in week 7, he looked good for a few weeks. Xavier Worthy, he's only now going into year 3. He's battled through injuries in year 2, but he hasn't looked the greatest, but he hasn't looked that bad either. They begged to get back Tyquan Thornton, who kind of set the world on fire there for about 4 or 5 weeks, and the Chiefs went away from him themselves. But that's your main 3 right now. And then Jalen Royals, who everybody loved in the draft. Yes, we haven't got to see him just yet because of injury. Andy Reid won't let him play. But there's your first 4. Is that really as bad as it seems it is? I know it's bad going forward in the future because after this year, you don't know where it goes. But for this year in particular, is that a bad starting 4 wide receiver core to look at compared to most teams?
Well, you still need you got what's his name in there because they kept him for special teams.
Nico, yeah. I'm not really counting him as an offensive
right,
weapon.
But that would be 5. Normally, Andy likes to go in with 6. I think 7 was a little overkill there for a couple seasons. I don't think we'll see 7 receivers. So I think that magic number is probably 5 or 6. I think they have to do more than what they have for the simple fact that Rashee Rice is not reliable whatsoever off the field. So we don't even know what's going to happen with him. Like there's a chance he could get suspended again or something of that nature. Xavier Worthy, I think that he played really well at the end of his rookie season, but then turning around and getting hurt and he didn't play that great when he came back, to be honest about it. So I think that's still a question mark. And then Jalen Royals, like you mentioned, he hasn't even seen the field. So right now you're looking at Tyquan Thornton, a guy that played good in like 3 games at the beginning of the season last year. There's a lot of question marks at wide receiver room. I think to say that that's a better situation than most teams is wild.
Well, I think a lot of fans look at it from what have you done for me lately? I think Andy Reid looks at his roster and looks at his players, and I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but I think he sees it as Rashee Rice, pretty good receiver when he's healthy and he's not dropping the ball there at the end of the season. pretty solid. Probably one of the better wide receiver 2s in football. He'd be borderline wide receiver 1. But he sees it that was a second-round investment that's kind of paid off a little bit. He sees Worthy as a first-round wide receiver. He sees Tyquan Thornton of a first-round wide receiver that played so well, he played himself into a bigger contract in Kansas City. And then he sees Jalen Royals, all the intangibles he likes and he sees in practice that we've yet to get to see. He sees it. So I'm just saying, I think he views the room a lot different than Fan does. I think that he views it as, look, we've got a second-round wide receiver and 2 first-round wide receivers in there as our top 3. And a lot of fans just see, no production.
But I think he also would have said the same thing last season, and they had the worst wide receiver core in football getting open. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's a double-edged sword there.
Everybody, us included, said this should have been the best wide receiver core that Mahomes has had because on paper they looked like they were going to be great.
Should have been. Obnoxious Gas here says my immediate thought when I read the article was they're drafting Sadiq or Downs, which is what I just said. I think there's another one in that mix too, Obnoxious Gas, and we haven't mentioned them. But do you think that leaves it open for if Jeremiah Love's there at 9, we might take him?
I just cannot get my head around that.
Dude, there's more steam about that. Like, yeah, and we've talked about this on other live streams, but I keep reading it everywhere. Like, literally everywhere. Like, you don't think there's any chance in the world that they would take him?
I don't. I can't do it because at the end of the day, it looks great for everybody that plays Madden and loves like crazy stuff that thinks you should never punt. It looks awesome. But at the end of the day, these people still got to put a roster on the field. You still got to get better at a lot of positions, which we've already covered. Tight end, wide receiver, corner, defensive end. Those are expensive ass positions, bro. And you're going to spend $31 million more on a running back after you just signed the biggest running back name in football? That's insane. I can't not see them doing that.
It's pretty wild. Mike, I don't know if you got any of these. Shane with the 5 bomb says he's going to dinner. Got that. Did you get Chris? Been a member for 32 months. Says K, done enough mocks to claim I'm a GM. Who we taking at 9? No Bain, no Bailey, both gone. Tag, you're it. No trading back. Okay, so no Bain or Bailey. So you're looking at, I would say right now.
Everybody else is on the board.
Right now, I would say it's going to fall between, probably a wide receiver or Sadiq, more than likely. If the edge rusher is not there, I don't like taking Mansour Delaney at 9. It's too rich for a cornerback. And he said no trading back, so I think I go with Sadiq or Tate or Lemon or someone like that.
I think Sadiq, Lemon would be on a short list. I'm not going to completely rule out Mansour Delaney. And I'll tell you why. I don't know if I roll it out because I do think that the Chiefs got a taste. And we talked about this in the last episode. The Chiefs got a taste of what a big-time talented corner can do. McDuffie should have been CB1 in that draft. Maybe I'll give you the Texans one. I think Stingley was that same draft, right? They were right there. Mansour Delaney and Jermon McCoy's probably everybody's 1, 2. You can swap them. If they liked what McDuffie was able to do, which was basically to be such a shutdown guy that Spags could throw out any blitz he wanted at any point, he felt comfortable doing it. If they think Mansour Delaney can bring anything McDuffie does, and you get that corner on a cheap 5-year deal, just like you got, I wouldn't rule it if there's nobody else on the board. Now, would I take him over a Downs or a Sadiq? Maybe not, but I'm not saying the Chiefs wouldn't. Like, I'm not 100% not sold. Mansour Delaney looked really good at his pro day.
I'm not sold on a corner at 9. I just can't do it. But our boy Chris Wright with the 5 gifted memberships. Let's freaking go, Chris. If you guys got one of those, make sure to thank them in the chat because, guys, we have a members-only live stream coming up in 45 minutes at 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time or 5:45 p.m. Central. We're going to start our members-only live stream. We're giving away a signed Ashton Gelati jersey. So if you want a chance at getting that bad boy, make sure to go to join.allchiefedup.com, get yourself a membership. And to those that became a member because of Chris Wright, thank him in the chat. You got a chance at winning an Ashton Gelati signed jersey. So that's freaking awesome. Let's go, baby. Appreciate you, Chris. Yeah, dude, just a lot of stuff. So the whole article, like you said, you could look at it 2 ways, like you looked at it, right? Like, you're looking at it as, oh, I didn't say nothing. There's nothing. That's the stupidest article ever. It didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Okay, which is face value, right? But then you could also look at it as what can I take from that? Like what kind of pieces, what kind of little clues did Andy Reid leave down that we can kind of take from? And I think that here's the thing. Even though Andy kind of alluded to replenishing the cornerback room, I think just kind of goes along with what he said about the edge rusher and the wide receiver. I think it just means they're not going to reach for anything. So I really don't see them reaching for a cornerback at 9.
That's impossible, but who says that Delaney's a reach?
Delaney's absolutely a reach.
We don't know what the Chiefs draft board looks like. Delaney could be the 4th or 5th guy on their board. He could be the 3rd guy on their board for all we know.
I mean, unless I've completely
Reid left
lost
it
my
open to say
mind, I just don't
corner.
see it.
Dude, even on my draft board, the dude's number 11. It's not that crazy. You know what? One thing that we didn't talk about was offensive tackle. I wonder if that would just really piss off Chiefs Kingdom taking offensive tackle at number 9.
That's another one. My thing with Montour Delaney, Mike, is the fact that why take a cornerback, any cornerback at 9? Because I in my opinion, I think if he's healthy, I think Jamar McCoy could be better than Delaney. So it just really depends on the health with him and the fact that he didn't play much football last year. But they're so successful with corners in mid to late rounds. Like of all positions, what do they develop the best? Without even thinking about it, over the last decade, what position do the Chiefs develop the best? Cornerback. It's a no-brainer. So I don't know why you would spend.
Well, we've said that, but technically the only 2 that's been really good has been Jalen Watson, who was a nice pick in 7th. But let's be honest, that was a lottery ticket scratch off, and the other was Trent McDuffie, who was a top 2 corner in the class. You didn't really have to develop him all that much.
Yeah, but
the
you could
rest
keep
of
going
them
back. You can go back to
get on the
Jerry
field.
Sneed. You could go back to Tarvarius Ward. I mean, it's not just those 2. Like, I don't know, dude. I think that they've
recently,
been known
probably
for
over the last
like
4 to 5 years, they've not hit as much. Najee Johnson kind of panned out. Kamal Hadden couldn't even make the team.
That's another thing I picked from. Nick
Jones couldn't do it. There's a
something
lot.
Something I picked from the article too was I like the fact that Andy kind of, without saying it, was like, "Hey, Noah Williams is going to have a bigger role in this defense next year."
I think Noah Williams is a big reason. Noah Williams and Christian Fulton from week 14 on, when Trent McDuffie couldn't play because of that injury, I told you, and I remember saying it, I said Trent McDuffie is playing himself out of Kansas City because Brett Veach can now see that the secondary did not fall off that far.
Yeah.
And the secondary looked pretty good without what? 0 pass rush. If you get pass rushers in there, the secondary automatically gets better.
That's true. We got a 10 bomb from Echo, says the Chiefs love hiding their picks. They didn't do a top 30 visit for Jordan Tyson, but met with him for a while. If he clears, meds clear, he's clearly the best receiver, very possible. So it's funny because you say the Chiefs love hiding their picks, and I think it's true that they like to smoke screen here and there a little bit, but it's more of their words because I honestly think I've been saying this for years, but if you want to try to predict who the Chiefs are going to draft, just dig in and see who they've talked to the most or who they've talked to multiple times, because they'll normally go with who they've talked to the most. Like, I mean, we've hit players like Kamal Hadden, Mike. We've hit draft picks like that, random dudes. And how do we do that? We didn't just make it up. We didn't just get lucky. So I kind of feel like if you follow what the Chiefs do as far as scouting goes and who they talk to, it kind of opens up the doors for who they're going to draft, in my opinion. Now, they do go off script sometimes. I think sometimes
McDuffie was off script. I don't think he ever said he met with the Chiefs at one time during that process.
Well, they get a little incognito sometimes. You'll see them going to pro days for said person, but they'll draft another guy that was there.
Yeah.
You've seen them do that. But also, I think Trent McDuffie was just the fact that this player is that damn good and he fell this far. Like, of course I'm going to go grab him.
Right.
Like, they didn't go talk to him because they didn't think there was a chance they were going to be able to draft him. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's always a possibility too.
Look, the Chiefs have talked with Jordan Tyson at the Combine. They talked with a lot of guys at the Combine. But we don't know if they're going to take a top 30 visit. That's still in the process. I think right now they've only done, 6 or 7 top 30 so far they've announced.
We talked about all of them.
Yeah, it's possible
the other day.
they still got time to bring them in. So, look, here's the thing about Jordan Tyson. He's really scary to take in the top 10. Because he's not even going to work out at his pro day. I don't think he even worked out at the pro day the other day.
No, but if he's sitting there at number 20 and you're at 29, you can go get him.
Yeah, like you could see that being a thing at 29. Like if he was to fall like 25 or 26, the Chiefs could package something up and just go get him at 26 and say, hey.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Talent.
I'm with you, Echo. I do think that if it wasn't for the meds, that Jordan Tyson's the best.
Would you be
receiver.
sad? Okay, look, if you didn't do that, so let's say at number 9 they really took Mansour Delaney. What if Jordan Tyson slips to 25 and they come up to get him, and your first round pick was Delaney at 9 and Jordan Tyson at 26? Say?
I still don't like Delaney at 9.
But isn't that the same as saying you took Jordan Tyson at 9 if he was completely healthy, and then Mansour Delaney falls to 22 or 23 and they come up and get him just like McDuffie? Isn't that essentially the same thing? You're ending up with the same 2 players. You just don't like the fact we took Mansour Delaney at 9.
No, I think taking a corner with the first 2 anytime in the first round is a bad idea.
So you think corner from 40 on only?
Yes, that's where my head's at. Because I think there are corners that you could probably get at that 40 that are like maybe not as good of prospects as like Delaney and Jamad McCoy, but they're like a fraction under it. Like it's really not that far off. There's not a huge gap.
I think where you start getting into it is, say, for example, at 29, you're opening yourself up to these guys. Possibly Avion Terrell. Now, he could go earlier. He could go after 29. But Avion Terrell, he is kind of a stickly little guy.
Okay? He could be the best one in the draft. He could be better than Delaney.
But he's got a lot of things that tell you he couldn't be physical enough. He didn't play a lot of press man. Okay, so that's a knock. You would have to put Chris Johnson in that same dude. He did an off-zone coverage there at San Diego State. He didn't do a lot of press man. So you got 2 guys right there that don't play a lot of press man. You got Colton Hood that does play press man, but I'm not 100% sold that Colton Hood is a great athlete just yet. I've not seen a lot to do that. And then you put Brandon Cisse there. I don't know if he's going to be that locked down, for example. Like all these guys, you can make a little bit of a case that there's something wrong with them. Keith Abney gets a little too handsy. D'Angelo Pons a little too small. So it's like you even McCoy, for example. McCoy's injured. Delaney is like the one true guy in this whole class.
You're acting like he has no problems?
He does have some problems, but it's more. They're a lot less than a lot of other people. He don't have a lot of injury history. He's played big competition in the SEC. He runs a 4.38, and he did it twice in a row. He mirrors very well. He's very good in press. There's a lot of things he does that lines up very well with what Spags likes. That's why I say I do not write him off, because everybody else has got problems. Delaney has the least amount of problems.
Well, Delaney's like a boundary specialist, though, right? Like, he's going to be on the outside.
Right. So put him and Noah Williams together, and now you can just focus on the slot in general. And if you can take care of that, the Chiefs get nasty if you get a pass rush going.
Well, it's also one of these things, too. So the reason why they have Delaney as the outright number 1 is because in his senior season, or not senior season, but his last season at LSU, 14 catches on 35 targets is what he allowed. 14 catches on 35 targets. They only targeted him 35 times in an entire season.
Right. They don't go to him.
Right. And does that makes you think of Trent McDuffie, right? They just don't like to throw his way. But that doesn't mean it. Like, he's still a little less than 50% on allowing catches, right? Probably in the 40% range, somewhere in there. I mean, statistically, the quarterback was better off throwing the ball in the dirt than throwing towards Delaney. But you know what I'm saying? But like, it's a small little sample size. So let's just say it gets to the NFL and we're not afraid to throw at Mansour Delaney. Does this become a situation where he's letting up 50, 60, 70% of the catches, and all of a sudden you're like, why did I draft this guy at number 9? Like, he's pulling a L'Jarius Sneed, where basically if you throw to him, it's either an interception or they catch it and get some yardage, or he misses a tackle, or, like something like that. So,
I mean, that's with everybody, though. You can say that. I'm just saying he allowed a 31 passer rating, 0 touchdowns to 2 picks this year. He can not only play outside, but he can play in the slot. He can play deep. He had an 89 man coverage grade, which is one of the highest coverage grades given by PFF. I mean, he's just pretty good across the board. He forced 11 incompletions last year, which was tied in the top 50 somewhere with corners. So, and like you said, they didn't even go at him very often. He still was right up there. I just think he's a good athlete. I don't write him off at number 9. Do I prefer a corner at 9? No, I don't. I'm with you too. I'm just saying I think the Chiefs could be more open to it than we think. Mm-hmm. Because of what McDuffie done to this defense.
I had to bring this one up because, Poppy, this might be the stupidest damn comment I've ever seen in my life. Like, you've literally been on here for how long now, Mike? You've been saying that they're going to be taking best player available.
From literally the first line of the article, I said Andy Reid said we're taking best player available.
Wake up, bro. Just like try to be a little bit smarter or don't comment.
Bro.
Good God.
Everybody look at Poppy. Like, this dude's a freaking high IQ over here.
Right. Good Lord. Echo with the 5 says we are all talking about trading up from 9. What are your thoughts on trading up from 29 if someone falls, and who would it be? This is a scenario that I've been doing a lot, Echo. I've been doing this one a lot.
Yeah.
So there are times where I trade up from 9 and 29, and that's possible. That's very possible for the Chiefs are at right now. They could kind of go get both guys they want in the first round if they do it right. They have an extra 3rd round pick from that Trent McDuffie trade that they have in play for trade. They have a lot of draft capital this year, so it's possible. But let's just say they sit at 9 and someone falls to them that they like, Mike, and they get them. Trading up from 29, I think there's a lot of possibilities there. And the main one that I keep seeing a lot is if you want Omar Cooper Jr. Or there's some scenarios where Mekhi Lemon's falling down to or Jordan Tyson are falling down to the 17 to 20 range. Those are all scenarios where you would come up from 29. Because right. I think if you want Omar Cooper Jr. at this point, you might have to get in front of the Carolina Panthers. For some reason, I just have this weird feeling they always take the receiver that I kind of want there at the end of the first round. So I think you're going to have to get up a little bit to get even Omar Cooper Jr. So if they don't grab a first-round receiver, a receiver at number 9, I think that's where you might see them come up and take a receiver, in my opinion. I think that would be the main one. Now, if they – I don't think there's any edge rushers that require you to trade up from 29 to, say 20 to get them.
You'd be
I feel
very,
like if you're already missed out on
surprised.
Really,
I think there's going to be 6 or 7 edge rushers taken in round 1. 100%.
I don't think you have to trade up to sit there and get a Zion Young at pick 29. That's insane.
Hey, I think you're going to be very surprised come draft night. From everything I'm hearing, people are just going to jump on edge rushers. I think you're going to have 6 of them taken in the first round.
Another way you could see this, Echo, is if they don't take Kenan Sadiq at 9 and he falls a little bit more than we think he's going to.
I think that there's a possibility Gabe Akis goes in the first round.
That's possible, but I still don't see a scenario where you have to trade up to get one of those guys. Because you can literally, if you don't get your first guy, Mike, if you don't get, say,
if you think Bain and Bailey are your 1 and 2, and you think who's number 3, let's just say TJ Parker. You think TJ Parker's number 3, and let's just say another team says, "Oh, I like Zion Young better than TJ Parker." We're taking Zion Young at number 15. We're taking it happens all the time. We're going to take this. You think if TJ Parker don't go to 21 or 22 and the Chiefs have him as their 3rd rated guy, that they wouldn't just go get him? It's very possible. I don't never say never about anything. The draft is the biggest crapshoot in the world.
Yeah, but I don't see a scenario where I think that you need to trade up from 29 to say 20 to get an edge rusher that's any better caliber than what you could get at 29. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's you and your assessment. I'm just saying if the Chiefs front office thinks that TJ Parker is literally closer to Reuben Bain than he's closer to Zion Young, they may see that as a huge steal. Go get him. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, yeah,
maybe their board's ranked different.
Yeah, I just don't see it myself. That's all I was saying. It's really weird. Like the more I look at it, it's kind of one of those things where I just can't bring myself to want a corner at pick 9. That's wild. I can't do it.
No, but look, do you think I'm wrong? You think Bain, Arvell Reese, and David Baylor are going in the top 10?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's three defensive ends already off the board. Do you think TJ Parker, Keldrick Falk, and Mesidor are going in round 1? More than likely?
Yeah.
That's
probably
6.
all of them.
That's 6.
I don't know about Keldrick Falk, but the other 2.
Zion Young, Gabe Akis, and maybe even Cassius Howe has been talked about to go to round 1. Plus, you've got Danny Dennis Sutton, who's been climbing up draft boards. I don't think he'll go round 1.
No, but I think you could get him at 40.
Malachi Lawrence has been climbing boards. I'm just saying, there's a lot of these guys. And once you get past that guy.
You just said the name of the guy that would made me have the way of thinking, because you can get a Danny Dennis Sutton at pick 40 if all else fails, and you still got a good pass rusher.
Maybe. But do you think Danny Dennis Sutton's better than Zion Young? No.
Could he potentially have just as good of a career in the NFL? Yeah.
I mean, anybody could. That's the
now,
entire.
Zion Young's going up boards because he's a monster, bro.
I mean, that's the entire thing of the draft. It's like, oh, who can we find Puka Nacua in round 5? But that could be anybody. We could be talking about literally all these players.
See,
and then at the end of the day,
just when you think you hit the lottery by getting Puka Nakua late in the draft, you find out that he's anti-Semitic and likes to bite strippers.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I'm just saying, we
Can't
could be
win for
talking
losing,
about all
brother.
these guys. And for all we know, Anthony Lucas out of USC in round 5 could be the best pass rusher out of everybody. So we can always play that game. But I'm just saying, by the edge, the way it goes, once you get past Gabe Akis and Malachi Lawrence and all those little guys right there after, 6, 7, 8, there's a big drop off there.
But is what you're saying not exactly what Brett Veach said, where he's like, all the pass rushers have to be in the top 40. You have to get them to pass the top 40.
You got to get them. So if you're sitting at 21 or 22 and maybe your third-ranked pass rusher, TJ Parker's still on the board, if that's your number 3, or maybe Zion Young's your number 3 and you want to go get him, they'll go get him.
I don't know. That's a possibility.
I'm just saying there's always a possibility. It's tough to rule a lot of things
I
out.
guess what I'm trying to say is I think the drop-off from Bain and Bailey to the rest of them is a pretty good little gap.
It's a little bit of a gap, but I don't see that big of a gap between, say, okay, look, if I say Bain and Bailey are rated in Madden, I'll say they're both 96s or 95s. I think Zion Young and Mesidor, them like that, they're no worse than like an 89, 90. Like, it's not that big of a fall.
The more I look at these guys, the more I think that Reuben Bain's the guy if they're trying to go up early in the first round or the top 10 and grab somebody. And I honestly feel like at this point, the more I watch these players play, the more I really look at them, that if they don't get Reuben Bain, that they're going to go after Zion Young.
Yeah, Zion Young's been climbing up my board a
I think
lot. I've
that's
been
the
really
two
big
that
on
fit-
Zion Young lately.
I think that's the two that makes the most sense for the Chiefs. And Spags.
I don't
and
write off
everything.
Mesidor. And I definitely don't write out Keldrick Falk. Good night.
Man,
He just feels like he's got Spags tattooed on his arm already.
I don't hate Keldrick Falk. I really don't. But for some reason, thinking of taking Keldrick Falk in the top 30 in this draft makes me sick at my stomach a little bit. Jake Price, Zion at 9 is wild. That is way too early.
It's probably too early. But if somebody was to take Zion Young and say early 20s, it really wouldn't surprise me the way he's climbing.
It probably wouldn't surprise me if somebody pulled the trigger on somebody like that at like 18.
Yeah, even Mesidor. That's what I'm saying. Mesidor,
but
DJ Parker,
9
all
just
these guys
seems
could go in the teens.
9 seems wild.
So look, if out of every one of these guys, if our number 3 guys, Keldrick Falk, and they're really convinced of this, it wouldn't surprise you if we didn't trade up to like 20 and draft Keldrick Falk. I would throw my TV in the river.
Let's not do that.
But it wouldn't surprise me.
Don't even put that out there. Don't put that out there.
Look, nothing surprises me with this front office and these coaches. They're too stuck in their ways. That's why when people are like, oh, we got to take David Bailey, do we? Because last time I checked, I don't think they would much rather have Keldrick Falk. Sadly.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a sad day. Hey, we all wanted these coaches back.
We've seen flashes over the years that they're trying to get away from that a little bit, and so far it hasn't worked out for them. But I think it's because they have cold feet. I feel like Spags wants to get away from that, but he's just a little nervous to do it. Because if you think about it, they drafted Felix, right? And then they turned around, they drafted BJ Thompson. And then they went and got Josh Uche, but it's like they would never put him out there to do it. Like they want to do it. No, I'm just saying it's like
even Ashton was a little undersized. He was 260-ish.
I feel like he's right there. Like it's like I want to do this, but he just can't.
But he can't figure out what to do with him because look, he even got Ashton Gelati, and they ended up putting him on the inside. He was rushing from the A gap at the end of the year.
Not all the time,
but a lot. And it's like, what are we doing?
I don't know, dude. I feel like he wants to do it. Maybe they'll take a cash as hell.
I would pass out if that happened.
We got Barbara in the house with the freaking 20 bomb.
Barbara.
Let's go. She says, love your channel, guys. Are you going to be live on draft day? Keep up the great shorts as well, profiling some of the lesser known players. Appreciate you, Barbara. Thank you so much for the dono. It's freaking awesome. Glad you're enjoying the channel, by the way. We will be live during the entire draft. So, usually when something big's going on, we'll be live streaming it. Of course, all the other 45 Chiefs channels will live stream it as well. And some will have ESPN type graphics and stuff like that. But I think if you want the best analysis of each player and the channel that has been right about more picks than anybody else so far, you want to be here at All Chiefed Up. So we appreciate you, Barbara, and we hope to see you then because we'll be on for the whole draft. which reminds me I have to make sure I don't work any of those days.
Yeah, we routinely stay on way too long during those days. I think Saturday's day, we end up getting on at like 11 a.m. and we'll go to like 7. It is a long, grueling time, but
Yeah.
it's fun. We usually have fun, and I appreciate you saying the shorts thing. I've been trying to put out more shorts, trying to profile some of the moves the Chiefs are making and who they may be looking at. So it's good to know some people enjoy that.
Yeah, man. I think it's some good content. I'll be watching it too. Scott Crosser in the house. He says, what if Bain, Bailey, and Reese are gone by 9? And Folk, Mesidor, Young, and Parker are all gone by 29. So this is kind of what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So what do you do there?
I mean, if I'm not trading up, then I'm just going to take Sadiq or Delaney, whichever one is higher on my board. I would prefer Sadiq over Delaney because I'm with Steve. I still think you can get a better corner at 40-ish. But if they love Delaney, you just take it. But you take the best player there out of those two. And then I think maybe I just go ahead and pull the trigger on Gabe Backus at 29 and be done with it. I got to have my defensive end.
Yeah, I think so. I think the last, like, you mentioned Danny Dennis Sutton earlier. I feel like he's the last straw. Like, I feel like after Danny Dennis
Sutton.
Sutton,
If you pass at 29 and he don't make it to 40, you're in trouble.
Yeah, after Sutton, things start going downhill pretty fast. Now, there are some lesser, known or, guys that are later in the draft that I think could be good. But the main one that I'm thinking of is a guy that doesn't fit Spag's mold whatsoever.
Nadami
Tucker.
I knew it.
Like, you got some guys like that, but like he's little and undersized and a speed rusher. Like, you don't even know.
I was going to say another guy that's
route.
little undersized. We talked about him the other day. Joshua Joseph's out of Tennessee. He's the
Love
same
him.
size
Love
as
him.
Derek Thomas. Now, are we going to play him? Hell no. LT Overton out of Alabama.
The dude from Oklahoma.
Dude.
Yeah, Overton stinks.
Yeah.
The dude from Oklahoma, I do like him. I think he's intriguing, but also undersized.
Dude, R. Mason Thomas, I've settled on a decent comp for R. Mason Thomas. Tell me if you love it. D. Ford.
Yeah, I think he could be.
I feel like he's
be
like
better
D.
than
Ford-esque. That's who I see. I don't love it. Jayshon Barnum, we've talked to already.
Yeah, I like
converted middle linebacker, but he only weighs 250. So it's like, are we really going to do that? I just don't see the Chiefs doing that. The last guy I'll say besides Dennis Sutton and Akis, for me, who's a little undersized, but I think he's pretty decent, and he showed flashes for me. UCF's Malachi Lawrence. I'm really starting to like Malachi Lawrence. Now, he's a little undersized, but I like some of his pass rush moves.
There's a lot of undersized edge rushers in this
draft.
That's
all we have in this draft.
A lot of them. Shout out Sam Lofton in the house, but I remember for 25 freaking months. Let's go, Sam. Says trade back from 9 if Bain's gone. Then you can get 2 edges, 2 wide receivers, 2 corners. Then get OT in there somewhere and filling the rest. So I like the trade back scenario somewhat, but I think if they trade back from 9, or even if they traded back from 29 for whatever reason, if they get more of a haul in draft capital in this draft, Mike, I truly feel like you're going to see trade up. Because they don't want to draft 12 players.
No, if you're forced to move back at 9, I think you're going to see a lot more like moving up 4 or 5 picks, moving up 2 or 3 picks.
Absolute most I could see them drafting would be like 8 players, 8. And 8's pushing it. Yeah, 8's pushing it. So I think if they do trade back, you're going to see them come up. And that's a possibility because Brett Veach likes to move up and down the board and get the guys he wants. So if he thinks that trading back at 9 allows him to come up and get the other guys that he wants throughout the draft, then absolutely I could see that happening.
Do you love when people do the mock drafts on X and they're like, this is my favorite mock draft, and they'll put it out, we've literally taken like 16 players. It's like, bro, you hit half the draft. Do not tell me that you hit players if you're taking 16 players.
Yeah, so I think trading back's a possibility, Sam, but I think that's only if Brett Veach wants firepower to come up and get every player he wants throughout the middle of the draft. That would be my guess. I think there's some corners in there too. You mentioned corner and Delaney, and we had that whole conversation. I think there's some sleeper corners in there too, Mike. You've mentioned Charles Demings. I think he's a beast. There's another dude, and I can't think of his name right now. It's evading me, but no one talks about him. And usually he's mocked 4th or later. Florida.
Oh, Devin Moore?
No.
Devin Moore?
What's his name? Mike, now you got me looking.
There's no other Florida corner.
Is that him? Is that his name? Am I just having a moment?
6'3", 198, man coverage. I like him. I don't know if that's who you're talking about, but A lot of fans like Takario Davis, Ephesians Prysock,
Yeah,
Julian Neal.
of course, yeah, all those guys. There's another small school guy back there too that I really like. Is it Devin Moore? Is that the name? That was him. You're right. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yep. I had to look at my notes. For some reason, it didn't seem like Moore to me. I think Delaney had me thrown off. Devin Moore. That's it.
Devin
Yeah.
Moore.
That's
I
it.
like Devin Moore. He was injured
he's
a little
really
bit
good
though.
He's good though, and like I think there's guys like that throughout the draft. Like Julian Neal, I think falls in that same category. Like guys that played SEC competition, that are really good, that are bigger corners, that were good in man coverage, and there's a few of them through there that I could see the Chiefs kind of going after.
Yeah. For me, I like a lot of them. I still like Keith Abney. I still like him.
Abney's good.
If you really want to just focus on a Trent McDuffie-esque slot guy that you just want to put on the slot and you want to be, you just want to shut that down because, we don't want to see Jamari Connor doing it anymore. Okay. If you really want to go that route,
Never
I
again.
really like D'Angelo Pons. He is smaller, but he is a very, he's a very handsy, grabby, can break up a lot of stuff in the slot. I really like him. And then Chandler Rivers out of Duke, that's another name that nobody's really throwing around. He can do that pretty well. And then if you want to go the safety route, love Keontae Scott. I think he can play that slot very, very effectively. And that would be a nice one. Scott, after running that nice 40 there at the pro day, may have pushed himself up into round 2.
I forgot all about Keontae Scott.
Yeah, I don't even know if he makes it to pick. I think I took him in 74 in my first mock draft. I don't think he even gets there anymore.
Yeah, I saw Chris mention it in the chat, but Chandler Rivers from Duke, a lot of people are liking him. But he's what? What do you think he is? Mid-third rounder?
Chandler Rivers, he's working himself up right now. I've got him.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you even say him. My bad.
Yeah, I've got him as my number 14 corner. I've got him mid-third to mid-fourth, somewhere in that range. So if they took him in the third, if they took him early fourth, that's somewhere in that range. I think it'd be a steal if he got the round 5. Just put it that way. I don't think he gets the round 5.
Yeah. So, I mean, all in all, man, we got a few more minutes here. Y'all get in the chat. Let us know if you have any questions or anything. Appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for subscribing to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for the people that donated today. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much. Barbara would like you to do a short on Chandler Scott, Mike. So, might want to.
I'll do it.
Yeah, might want to throw that one out there. But yeah, I think all
Chandler
in all.
Rivers?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
I know what she meant, and I don't know why I read it that way. But I think all in all, Andy, like you said, he said a lot without saying anything. But if you really look at it, I think what you could pull from it is exactly that they're not going to reach for anyone in particular position, that they're going to make sure that they get best player available. However, I do think that they're going to make it a focal point to draft cornerbacks in secondary. So I don't be surprised if you see 3, maybe even 4 secondary guys come off the board.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm pulling from this.
I agree.
If I think about it a little harder, like I did earlier, I'm thinking that you might be looking at receiver or Kenyon Sadiq at 9, or maybe even if they go really off script and blow Mike's mind and were to Jeremiah Lover to be sitting there and they take him. I think that Andy left that all on the table. Like, don't be surprised if we don't take an edge rusher or a cornerback right there. So maybe he's leaving it open for that. So I don't know. Or even Caleb Downs, because he's a safety, and a lot of people don't want to see safety early. But there's just some players, Mike, if they're there, it's hard to say no to.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody in the chat said, what about Landon Robinson, defensive tackle out of Navy? Dude, he's good. Yeah, he's kind of made a name for himself since the pro day. And I will say this, the Chiefs were at the Navy pro day, and I think that's who they were looking at. A lot of people haven't talked about this, but I do think they were looking at Landon Robinson. To me, he kind of gives you the Turk Wharton vibe. He's not the biggest guy. He's only 293. But, and you got to look at who Navy plays, right? He scored his highest versus VMI. He scored his highest versus Tulsa. Those were his highest scoring games. And then, of course, Notre Dame. He was pretty solid versus Notre Dame. And so that is the one game that I want to probably go back and watch to make sure why he scored so well versus Notre Dame. But he had 8 sacks this year, 22 hurries, and he had a pass rush win rate at 10.2%. So he is a guy that can get after the quarterback. The thing is you've seen a lot of Navy players come out over the years, and people think they're going to get drafted.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those Navy players, they don't work out or they choose not to really focus on football a lot. Do you remember how they had those big pass rushers a few years ago and we all thought they were going to do very well? And
they had one guy, like the tall, skinny, fast. I can't remember his name. I know you're talking about. Yeah. But I think there's another player that they were looking at Navy. And I think they're looking at a 7th round to maybe a UDFA. And I think
talking about the little Eli guy?
Eli Heidenreich. I think that they could look at him for a slot receiver position because
he is a slot receiver.
He is a Wes Welker. He is a Julian Edelman, and you have Chad O'Shea as a wide receiver coach.
Right, but a lot of people are saying they're putting him in a fullback category.
He played fullback in college, but I mean,
You're not a fullback at 200 pounds.
Like no, he's a running back wide receiver combo. He's not much different than say Brashard Smith, to be honest, but he's more of a little slot receiver. And he's very effective at it. Like if you go watch him, I think maybe that's what they could be looking at. Yeah.
I feel like we've got that at home.
Yeah, if you wanted to use Brashard Smith in that manner. Right. I don't know. We'll dude. See. I think they could be looking at him. He's it's weird. You know what a lot of scouts call his position or what he is as a football player? They call him a snipe.
A snipe?
Yeah.
I just prefer
they say he's like a
H-back.
They say he's a hybrid offensive weapon that you can put in like 3 different positions. And he can also return the football. So, I mean, he's like a very he's a little Swiss Army knife, but little being the key word. There's not a whole lot you can do with him as far as being a fullback.
Yeah, he's a white Julian Edelman.
Yeah, Julian Edelman is white.
Yeah, he's even more white. He's a more
Guys
white
are wild.
Julian Edelman.
I'm going to grab this question real quick before we head off here. But we got to get off soon because we got a members only live stream in 10 minutes and where we're going to be giving away a signed Ashton Gelati jersey. So if you want to be on that members only live stream, which we'll talk about more stuff like this, we're also going to be giving away a signed Ashton Gelati jersey. Make sure to join the channel, become a member. All you got to do is go to join.allchiefsup.com or hit that join button up at the top and become a member and then get on that stream, which will be coming up at 6:45 Eastern time. Or 5:45 Central. But real quick, Rorty says, who are your guys' favorite Kelsey replacement? I'll give you one from each level. I think mainly number one, without a doubt, Kenyon Sadiq. I think if you don't go Kenyon Sadiq and you get past Eli Stowers too, I think you start looking at, say, a Dallin Bentley. If you get past that, I like John Michael Gillenborg late in the draft to be that sleeper. And that's kind of where I'm at with the tight ends.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Kelsey he's a move tight end. That's basically what he's done. But Kelsey can line up in line. He can block pretty well. I mean, I know Patriot fans will argue that, but he does block pretty well.
Homers.
So there's a lot of guys. I'm a Steve Sadiq Stowers. I like. I don't dislike Max Clare. I thought Max Clare looked a lot better when he played at Purdue than he did at Ohio State. But it's because Ohio State's got a lot of weapons. Like, he didn't have to be featured like he did at Purdue, right? So he kind of falls into that Kenyon Sadiq thing where they just maybe didn't use him right. I think Michael Trigg, he is very intriguing, but they basically kicked him off the team before he got to Baylor. So I don't know. He looks so lazy on certain reps.
Justin Jolie.
Yeah, Justin Jolie, they're bringing in for a top 30. You know, I don't dislike Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. Do I think we're going to hit back-to-back Cincinnati tight ends? Probably not. So that's – and then I know a lot of people love Oscar
Raritan. Oh, yeah, Oscar Delp. Yeah. Eli Raritan's intriguing, but he just got hurt a lot.
He stays hurt. There's another guy, Sam Roush out of Stanford. He's got potential. He didn't get used very well at Stanford, but he does have some.
Jake makes a good point here. He says Kelsey almost got kicked off at Cincy, so maybe
true.
Maybe that's not a bad thing. Guys, appreciate y'all being here. Do us a favor, hit that like button on the way out. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for the donos and the gifted memberships. You guys are freaking awesome. Highly suggest you guys get a membership and slide on over to that members only live stream that's getting started here in just a few minutes. And we'll see you there. We're going to give away the Ashton Gelati signed jersey, baby. Let's freaking go.
Wow.